like to speak on non-agenda items, please raise your hand. I don't see any. Secretary, are there any members of the public that would like to be heard or any written comments received?
We have no public comment, Chair.
Okay, moving on to the action agenda. The first item on the agenda is the 22-23 budget calendar. Members of the public who'd like to speak, please raise your hand. I don't see any hands, so General Manager, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. The following item is the calendar for the adoption of the budget fiscal year 22-23, and I'm gonna defer to Rich, our Director of Finance, to guide us through the calendar, to the proposed calendar.
Good afternoon, Chair and board members. Happy New Year. Michael, if you could do me a favor and go ahead and just scroll to the second part of page 3 there. So this board calendar we present annually. This one is fairly standard to what we've presented in the prior years. Probably the two differences are kind of the first two items. We do have the draft 2022 strategic plan that will be presented at the end of January. And then we're looking for a final adoption on February 9th at the first meeting in February. And then also in February, you know, due to a lot of issues with our chemical contracts and chemical purchases and other types of purchases, and then water use and where we're getting our water from and how much we're paying for. We will be bringing a mid-year budget review to the Finance and Administration Committee on February 2nd, and then take that to the board on February 9th. Right now, there are definite variances that we're looking at. We're just, right now, we don't think any are extraordinary, but we definitely do want to review them with the board and look at any solutions that we might present. The rest of the calendar is fairly standard. So in March, we're going to review the basic assumptions of the 5-year projection. And then in April, we'll look at the draft fiscal year 23 strategic plan work plan, and then the draft fiscal year 23 financial 5-year financial plan. And so that 5-year financial plan will basically provide the overall structure that the budget is going to take on. It'll provide the bookends of you know, the overall expenditures planned and the overall revenues to collect and reserve balances. And then, as we have in the past, we're going to have a special board meeting on May 23rd. That's where we would provide all the detail that goes into the budget. It's going to, unless we have any adjustments to that 5-year financial plan from May, the detail will match what has been already presented in that 5-year financial plan. Typically, we try to shoot for June 8th to adopt the final budget. That's pretty close after that May 23rd meeting. So we do have a second meeting in June that we could adopt a final budget if we needed further iterations to be looked at. And worst comes to worst, we could schedule a special meeting even if there are more meetings that are required to discuss the budget items. With the recent rains, it looks like, you know, maybe the drought might have given us just a little bit of a break, but we're not going to bank on that. So hopefully it won't be as tough as we thought it would be, but we still need to take a close look at it. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Colleagues, do you have any questions on the agenda or the calendar of activities that were outlined by Director Stevenson?
No, I like it though.
All right.
Plenty of opportunities.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So thank you very much. Let's move on to the second item on the agenda. This is review of board policies and procedures, policies 501 through 509. General Manager.
Thank you, Chairperson. We have a total of 30 policies pertaining to Sweetwater Authority. What we're going to be doing is presenting 10 at a time. So we're presenting the first 10. There's a couple of minor changes that we're recommending. One is policy 504. And if you can go to page 15, Michael, of the agenda. It's just a really minor typo that we're proposing to change. Block with no K as a voting block. So just something very, very minor. And then policy, the following on 505 on page 19. This one's the selected of the board officers. The only recommended change here is that if for any reason there's no quorum in the December meeting, the decision, the selection of board officers will move to January, basically. So it's just, in that what if scenario that there's no meeting for any reason in December, then that gets pushed to the following meeting. That's really the only change. And then I like to discuss or have a present policy 507. So if you can go to page 24, this lists the current committees. So scroll up a little bit, Mike. There you go. Perfect. So those are the current standing committees: Finance and Administration, Water Quality and Distribution, Engineering, Capital and Development Services. And then we have the Communications Committee. What we like to do is change the title of this Communications Committee to Legislative Affairs and Communications Committee, if that's the committee is willing to consider that. And the reason why is with all the legislative activities and efforts, I think it will be appropriate to have special focus on those issues. I think it will allow the communication, potentially legislative affairs and communications committee to discuss any potential legislation. Even though the description currently allows discussion of legislative affairs, I think just clarifying that will be appropriate. But I'll leave that up to the committee to decide if that's a change that you're willing to consider. All the other policies, 501 through 509, except the changes I identified, remain the same.
Anybody want to make a motion to amend item D on page 24?
So moved.
Second.
So the motion is to add Legislative Affairs and Communications Committee as suggested by the General Manager.
That is correct. And one more thing, Chair Preciado, is currently this committee meets on a quarterly basis. That frequency may need to be changed depending on the circumstances.
Let's strike meets on a quarterly basis. Let's strike that, and the committee will meet as needed by the General Manager.
Perfect.
So we'll just strike that and not put any language. So
right.
Is there a friendly amendment to include striking meets on a quarterly basis?
Friendly amendment, strike. Perfect.
Accepted by the seconder.
Okay, good.
What harmony.
So there's a motion and a second. Is there any other item that you want to vote on, Carlos, or is this?
No, that was it. The other ones are very straightforward, and I there's no other recommended changes on these first set of policies. We'll bring the next set at the next meeting, Chair Preciado.
So
what number is the policy? We can't throw stuff at each other during a meeting. I want to know about that one. I want to know.
I think it's 204.
Yeah, there may be one.
I'll be interested in getting into that one.
Yeah, hurling insults and throwing insults doesn't count, I guess. On that one, right?
F-bombs and the like.
I know. It's all subject to interpretation too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Secretary Garcia, you want to call the roll on the amendment on the change to language on item D, page 24. This is adding legislative affairs and striking meets on a quarterly basis.
Okay. Director Castellana,
Yes.
Director Preciado,
Yes.
Director Sotelo Solis.
Sotelo Solis, aye.
Okay.
Motion passes unanimously.
Moving on to item C. This is the
just to confirm on this one here. The motion was related to this communications committee. The other ones that were stricken from the other policies, the other edits, those weren't addressed in this motion.
right. So we didn't really do any action other than the update to policy 507.
Okay.
But if you're, do you and the general manager believe we need to?
I would recommend
all recommended additions, changes, and
we would recommend accepting as presented with the change outlined on policy 507, Chair Preciado.
so I'll move that we adopt all the changes and additions presented by staff on policies 501 through 509. As the-
Second.
so there's a motion and a second. Secretary Garcia, please call the roll.
Director Castañeda,
Yes.
Director Preciado,
Yes.
Director Sotelo Solis.
Sotelo Solis.
And I
The motion-
suspect this is a for the consent agenda.
Thank you, Chair Preciado.
And that motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
So interestingly enough, the first item was presented to give us a view of the budget process, but now here's a view of the committee's work.
Correct. What we're doing for all the committees is providing a 6-month look ahead, just to keep track of all the items that are presented. Sometimes we present something, it goes and staff works on it, and then comes back a few weeks or a few months later. So this just gives a kind of at a glance, you know, for the activities plan for the next 6 months or so. We intend to provide this monthly to the board, to committee and the board, and then we'll update it as we move along, or if new items come along, then we'll update the calendar.
I do have a question. In the previous item, Director Stevenson mentioned the mid-year revise, and so I am interested in seeing what may have been anticipated, and so I guess you'll give us a preview at the next meeting of what you're anticipating we need to revise. The only thing that I have in my mind in terms of needing for revision is related to the collection of development fees, but I don't want to get into a discussion about that.
Rich, see there?
Yes. Yeah, we would, that would be part of what we would bringing to the board. The plan was actually to come at that the first meeting in February with the analysis, and that would be part of the discussion as well. And the other side of that coin is capital projects. So we would be looking at status on capital projects as well.
Okay, any other questions regarding the 6-month preview for Q3 and Q4?
Nope. Straightforward.
Seeing that, director's comments is next. Director Sotelo Solis.
Just a reminder, vaccinate, booster up, mask up. We've been pushing out the test kits and, you know, really encouraging our youths to go get tested. Today and tomorrow we're going to be celebrating Three Kings, Dia de los Reyes Magos, and courtesy of CHP, we got a toy for every child that came to get tested and or vaccinated. And
Wow.
Today alone, we vaccinated over 90 kids. And that was just a handful of the number of families and kids that were there to get tested. You know, it's great to continue the dialogue and, you know, the conversation with their families to get out and, you know, get vaccinated. But the need for testing is, I mean, it's huge. Sure, within our own primary cares, lines are long, phone calls, you have to let it ring a little bit longer to get a response, or, you know, wait a little longer, but we're just pushing that for our students. And we're hoping to do a booster clinic as well, as now they're 12 plus are now eligible for boosters. So that concludes my comments, and outside of looking forward to the new chairmanship starting at our next meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Excellent. Director Castañeda.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. And obviously, this year is starting out kind of like 2020 started out a little bit, but you know what? There's light at the end of the tunnel. We're a little bit better off than we were. The lines are long. I felt sorry for you, Madam Mayor, the other day. I watched you on TV. Within 6 minutes, you had already exceeded your capacity to hand out tests, but you know what? You are to be congratulated. Your leadership in the city has been, I haven't seen anybody in this arena on this issue work as hard as you. And other than those members of the board, which are tasked with that particular responsibility. But I can tell that this is something that's heartfelt. This is something that's important, and it's critical to the safety and the health of your community, and you're to be applauded. So I'll keep watching and cheering you on, and you know, let's see this through the end. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I too, just so you know, we just pivoted to online teleworking. We will be doing so at San Diego State University through February 1 to let the surge burn itself out, as it were. But we're committed to full in-person campus starting hopefully by February 2nd, if all the conditions become better. We're in the high 90s in terms of vaccinations, and we're hoping to hit high 90s with booster. And so it is part of a commitment to each other to stay in a safe learning community. And it's hard. Some, notwithstanding what we're hearing from our own agency, we are concerned that whole departments could be out, not by anything they did, but just some of the social activities and some of the other things that are going on. So we're all learning. And the biggest difference is this time we have a vaccine and we have some protection. And I'm just happy that we're in a better spot. And I too want to add my comments to Mayor Sotelo Solis. I see very energetic effort by the leadership of National City in keeping their community engaged, and the public health being the priority. I do not see that in very many other locales, as hard as they try. And I think it's just something very unique in it must be the good water over at Sweetwater in the city of National City that's creating those conditions.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to ask one question of the
Yes.
mayor. Can I
Yes.
bring my trash to National City?
Yeah, sorry, you cannot. Did you see that? Yeah, that's just for us. Oh my gosh. After I said it, I was like, y'all better not be bringing your trash to my dumpsters. But we ended up having to postpone the cleanup because of the COVID-19.
Right.
You know, just the heck of this. But I was like, don't be bringing your trash to this. I see you. We're checking IDs.
I saw a few empty dumpsters on National City Boulevard that are
Yeah,
they're
no,
good.
it's
They're
yeah, no,
good.
we're definitely supporting the workers
Yeah.
and all of the efforts. But I want to give my sincere thanks again. You know, recognizing and recognition peer to peer makes my heart whole. And you know, again, this is just something we should be doing. And I would definitely say it is our dinosaur water in our deep wells here in National City that keeps me going. So
Yeah.
it is in the water. Bueno, gracias, muchachos.
All right, this meeting, the next meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee is January 19th. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, Chair Priscilla. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.